Today was another day of kombucha and juice and coffee. Day 4, I think. And it was another powerful day for sure. About an hour ago, I had this subtle perception, and it felt like eternity whispering. The days have felt really long these last 2 days, and it feels eternal, like there's a lot of time. And then I had this feeling about how our subjectivity does actually change time, not just the feeling of time passing. And I wondered about that. And last night I was having trouble falling asleep because I kept coughing. And I was running low on halls. And since I'm staying with family, my mom came in the room and offered me a warm blanket and put it on me, and it was strange because after that the cough stopped. I did change my sleeping position a little bit too, so that might have had something to do with it. But it felt like that gesture of love and caring, that simple act, was a sort of placebo, if you want to call it that allowed that cough to calm down. And then I went to put the last Hall in my mouth that I had, and the wrapper said, "Don't give up on you." And it was interesting that I got a special message on a Hall's wrapper. So special messages really are everywhere, even on something as simple as a Hall's wrapper. And I took a picture or a video of it. Even Hall's has special messages. And yesterday I was thinking a bit about how the only thing I really have the power to change is myself. And I've had this paradox or conundrum a couple times in the last year for sure, is being, do I help others or do I help myself? And interestingly enough, these last few days doing this cleanse, which is something good for my body, I felt different around people. I felt more connected. I felt like there's more time to just be with people. I'm not so in a hurry to go off and do videos or whatever it is that I have on my mind to do. And the thing is too that it feels like I have enough time for both. It feels like I have enough time to do those things I want to do and spend time with people. Whereas when I'm not taking care of myself as well, I feel like I'm rushed to get what I want to do done and I don't have time for people or something. And taking care of myself with this fast, my mom responded by bringing me a blanket, which was really sweet. And we had a nice conversation earlier in the day, which doesn't seem to happen when I'm in this other state of consciousness. I'm not sure, it's strange. And today I spent a bunch of time working on these documents I was working on, and really focused and linear. And then I spent time watching a silly movie with some family, and then I felt like I still had time to go to Walmart and get more hauls and a few more tank tops, because I ate all my hauls and the tank tops are cheap. And yeah, it's a different feeling of time. And I've been feeling time differently and aware of that. And then I had this subtle perception of eternity. And then I wrote something about it. I felt like writing something a little bit more lyrical and poetic about it. as it's more of a whisper than something that can be unfolded. It's a subtle reminder. Yet with that perception also can arise a little bit of fear, because it's a strange sensation. This foreverness, this alwaysness, this nowness, this here-ness. And it's so strange how one can feel like, I don't have time to do anything, to there's so much time, to there is no time, to eternity. And I feel part of the fear is touching on eternity can lead to a sensation of ending or death. And I haven't had that in a number of months since taking the Hearty Nutritionals. So I'm wondering if I'm getting to a state of being too passionate, quote unquote. I don't know. And it could be the fasting too. Maybe it's gone too long. I was planning on doing one more day. I made juice for tomorrow and I have kombucha. Perhaps I could eat something. And I'm facing a decision about possibly being offered a job that is in a lifestyle design situation that isn't ideal for me, but it's a pretty ideal job, versus continuing to design my life. And I'm leaning towards continuing to design my life because there are some cool things coming up. I might go to a little retreat center for a week on the 14th, and on the 12th I'm going to donate blood, and on the 13th is that webinar, I think, as well as a info session on taking a class to learn how to start a business, and I could potentially take that in order to create Synchronicity Wellness. So it might be a matter of creating Synchronicity Wellness versus working in a job, and the job might be grounding and that might be good, but I don't know. I feel like I need the time to put that dialogue thing together. It's the coyotes. Yet at the same time, I wonder if I should share it at all, and maybe getting myself to a place where I'm working a job and it's a good job, and that's good, or coyote has to do with trickster. Now they're quiet. The trickster. Yeah, so that business course would start in mid-November. So I'm seeing there are different things that I can do. And when I go to the retreat, I learned that nearby there is something called forest bathing, where one goes on a walking tour through a really old, beautiful forest. So that sounds really cool and lifestyle design-ish. So I wonder if I can hold this together. And this job opportunity is something I'm really passionate about, but sometimes it can be detrimental to me when I'm too passionate. And I'm wondering if I can hold this and unfold it. Can I unfold this superhumanity? Can I hold it? And I'm even wondering about being really passionate about micronutrients, because it could be another thing where I'm really passionate about micronutrients and then I stay within micronutrients in an illness framework, whereas maybe the micronutrients are for me to transcend and design my artist self and work on singing and dancing and things like that. But maybe that's too out there. I don't know. Am I supposed to be grounded or move towards a fullest expression? I'm not sure. Because my life really has been changed by taking the micronutrients. But do I want to get lost in that or really, really move on? Almost like this whole mental health thing didn't happen. And it's not like I wouldn't be sharing the benefits of micronutrients, because I've created the dialogue with myself showing the process of transitioning off of them. Again, it's passive advocacy, even at the level of something like, wow, these micronutrients are so great. I really want to live my life. I think I'm answering my own questions. And I was thinking about today how it's kind of nutrients first, not even happiness first or respite and safe space, but nutrients. It really is. And this goes back for me even years before being diagnosed with a mental health condition, where I had a chronic fatigue-like thing going on, and it took a total overhaul of my lifestyle in terms of diet and health to get better and heal. And it seems the same with mental health. So nutrients first, and perhaps I'll be a person with lived experience of being able to support myself after being labeled with a mental illness with micronutrients. And since I was labeled, I don't know if I can ever truly get rid of that label, but perhaps one day people won't get labeled. They'll get nutrition and nutrients and micronutrients. Nutrients are required for happiness. If we don't have the right nutrients, I don't know if we can be happy, because the body manifests depression and things with improper diet and nutrition. And I think this is the basic thing of lifestyle design, is designing in nutrients. I'm finding in my own experience, if I don't have this basic thing, then it's difficult to design and create the rest. The human brain is really tired of being poisoned. Can I go back to my roots of being a health nut and also integrate this aspect of being a creative nut? I was a health nut before I was labeled with a mental illness. I was raw vegan. I really took good care of my body, and I felt present and grounded, and that all changed very quickly. But can I go back to that as if none of this ever happened? Not saying that it didn't, but leaving all of this paradigm behind and really living my life. I was really seeing that living my life is the way. Because even these last couple days, cleansing and fasting, my body and my energy is different. I feel different. People respond to me different is the thing. It's not me reacting and running away from people. It's just being there, and people respond. They come up to me. They talk to me differently when I am taking care of myself. So it seems like that act of taking extreme care of oneself is selfish, but at the same time, it seems to produce the most elegant and beautiful and peaceful and joyful epigenetics. And I don't know if this is true. I'm talking about my observations lately, because it's been a long time since I've taken this level of care of myself. And I'm not saying fasting every day is the answer, it's not. Sometimes not putting anything in at all is better than putting kind of okay stuff in the body, at least for a period of time. And Hardy Nutritionals did advise against fasting, and I'm doing it anyways. And I'm seeing the benefits, but I do have to be careful at the same time. And I was on Katie Motram's blog today, Emerging Proud, and she started a new thing called Emerging Kind, and it sounds really cool. She mentions creating a global network of awakened peers, and also talks about how she'll be training people to create safe space. And what she outlines in her blog posts is really profoundly amazing, and she's doing such incredible work. And yeah, emerging kind. Imagine that. Imagine a kindness approach to people in distress. And on my part, I wonder if we can emerge kind if we don't have the right nutrients for our mind. I think micronutrients might be good for people who identify as psychiatric survivors to help them survive better and stay away from it longer. I don't know if that's true. We'll see if it's true for me as time goes on. So I'm wondering if micronutrients can support this transformation of creating the artist version of myself, or will it be something that leads me back into conformity? So it's either to transform or to conform, and I'm not saying something's wrong with conforming. It might actually be good for me. But now, being in this space of exploring having a clear nervous system, I'm feeling out what's right, and it varies from day to day. The other night when I was falling asleep, I remember having an insight, and I didn't write it down because I never do if I have an insight while I'm falling asleep. Very rarely, at least, and I usually don't remember them. I usually don't think, oh, that was what I was thinking about as I fall asleep, but there's so many of them that it doesn't matter. But I had the sense that I remembered one that I had when I was falling asleep, and that was related to the book Stealing Fire by Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheel, which talks about ecstasis and hacking ecstasis or flow, getting into flow states. And the book's called Stealing Fire, and my brain made the connection with the movie Touched with Fire, which is about two people with bipolar disorder that meet, and there's a story around that. And I thought the titles were interesting because one is about stealing fire, which sounds like consciously trying to steal this fire, get the fire, do something in order to have this fire, this altered state, this flow, this transient hypofrontality, as they say, this selflessness, this effortlessness, this timelessness, this richness, and stealing that somehow. And then there's the other where it's the movie Touched with Fire, where we're not trying to get the fire, we're not doing anything to get this fire, but it touches us. And to me, that's the difference between involuntary psychedelic states or non-volitional altered states of consciousness, map consciousness, trance consciousness, manic consciousness, is that we're touched with it. It touches us. We don't do anything most of the time in particular to get it. It's not like we meditate for 10 minutes and we're touched with fire. People might meditate for days and steal fire, or different things to steal fire, but there are people who don't have to do anything. It touches them. The fire touches us. We're touched with fire. And so that's the difference, is one can learn how to steal fire, or people who are touched with fire can learn how to allow that fire to burn up all that's not necessary. Because the fire does burn up everything that is unnecessary that we feel is necessary. There's a bunch of programs in our minds and our bodies and our cells that are programs of necessity in a way, but they're extraneous. And when they drop away, all of a sudden we're in flow. So we're touched with fire, it burns up all that unnecessary stuff, or people can supposedly do volitional acts like take psychedelics or meditate or do extreme sports to steal fire. So with this possible opportunity to take this business course, maybe Synchronicity Wellness will manifest and be something fruitional after all. Perhaps it will help to make paternalistic medication-focused psychiatry obsolete one person at a time. Perhaps it will facilitate making this area of the world the most psychologically safe and psychologically nutrated with psychological nutrition and micronutrients in the world. That'd be a dream come true. Come into my dream. Let me show you what I've seen.